Okay guys, we are almost at our final exam. It's gonna be in the next week or two, posting a review and an exam. So this last week before that, I wanna just kind of go over some stuff that'll be on the exam that we haven't seen in a while. I wanted to give you a chance to kind of like pre-review, if that makes any sense. So we're gonna go over solving systems of equations. I'm gonna make this as like the most basic, all you really need to know as I can. And I'm also gonna keep in mind that most of y'all don't have like graphing calculators. So we have typically a graph. If you're looking at it, it's the easiest possible option because the solution, let me back up. A system of equations is just what happens when you have two lines like this. So this is a system. The solution to a system is where the two lines cross. So on this one, the solution would be, it's going right 2 and up 1, so it's 2, 1. And that would be the solution. Okay, we had two special cases. We had no solution and we had infinitely many solutions. No solution, think about it, means that there literally won't be an intersection point. That only happens if you have two parallel lines. And then infinitely many means that there's not just one solution, there's not just one intersection point. There are many, many, many to infinity intersection points. And that only happens with straight lines if the lines are literally the exact same. It's like they're right on top of each other. So those were our two special cases. The majority of the time we've got one solution though. All right, what I wanted to go over, because that's like pretty basic, shouldn't be too hard. What I wanted to go over was ones where they don't give you the graph. So this gets a little trickier because you have to do a little bit of math. So option 1, if you do have a graphing calculator at home with you, either you have one because you already own one or you've downloaded the calculator that I posted a bunch. Option 1 is that you can solve for y, plug them into y equals, and then go look at the graph. So like on this first example, on this first equation, I would need to get this 2x to go off to the to move. So if I pull this over for a second, the y is what I want by itself, so I would subtract the 2x. Those cancel. Y equals negative 2x plus 8. Then I can go plug that into the calculator, and I can go plug in the y equals 5x plus 1 into the calculator, and you can go graph and do basically what we did up here. Okay, so I know a lot of y'all don't have graphing calculators, so here is honestly my favorite way of doing this. It only works if you have multiple choice questions, but good news, your test is multiple choice, so we're just gonna go with this. All right, so on every single one of these problems, I have an x number, or on all the answer choices, I should say, and I have a y number. Okay, the whole idea of a solution of a system is that it's the point that lies on both lines. So this might take a little bit of work, but as long as you have just like a calculator on your phone, you can do this. I'm gonna take one by one and do process of elimination until I get one point that falls on both of these lines. So let's try A. So I've got 2 from my equation up here, and then instead of x, I'm gonna plug in my x over here, which is 6. And then plus, and then I had y, so instead of my y, I'm gonna plug in my 1 right there. Now, figure out what this equals. According to the equation, it should equal 8. If this does not equal 8 though, then A is not the answer. So you don't need a fancy calculator. All you need to do is just use your one on your phone. We're doing 2 times 6, and then I'm adding 1, which is definitely not 8, right? Hopefully some of us could have done that in our head. So A, not the answer. So I'm gonna keep doing that until I get one that works. So now we're gonna try 2. Again, I'm getting this 2 from the equation. Then I'm gonna plug in negative 6 this time for x. And then I'm gonna plug in positive 1 for y. And again, according to the equation, it should equal 8, but let's find out. 2 times negative 6, does that work? Yep, plus 1, definitely still not 8. Does not equal 8, so that's not it. So try again, 2. So plugging in, this time my x is a positive 1, and then my y is a 6. And again, it should equal 8. Let's try it. 2 times 1 plus 6. Hey, look, that's 8. Okay, so this one did work. Here's the issue. I've only been checking the first equation because I stopped after A, or I stopped on A and B because if the first one didn't work, it definitely wasn't the answer. Now that I've got one that works with C, I don't want to assume that's the answer because all I've proven is that 1, 6 is in this line. I want to make sure it works for both lines. So I'm going to take a second and I'm going to plug it into my second equation now. So y equals, so this is a little bit different. I'm going to plug in the 6, the y, on the left side of the equation. Then we've got the equals 5x plus 1. So 5 times x plus 1. But instead of x, I'm going to plug in the 1 from the point. So do we see how this is x, this is y? I've plugged in the 1 and the 6 from the problem. And again, as long as this matches up, we're good. So 6 obviously is just 6. Let's figure out what 5 times 1 plus 1 is. Hey, look, it's 6. So both of these are good. So this point C was the only one that worked on both lines. So yes, it takes a little bit of time, but as long as you can plug in some numbers, you can do this. So you have a quizzes to do this week. Only 3 of them are like this, and I've given you lots of extra time. So I do recommend having some scratch paper or having your calculator handy, but it really is just as easy as plugging in some numbers. Also, side note, if you didn't have answer choices, there are other ways of solving besides graphing. There's also something called substitution and elimination. If you're my pre-AP kids, that hopefully sounds familiar because I did teach that to you earlier this year on level. The original plan was to teach that to you guys now, but since we're at home, I don't think it's fair to you guys to like teach these complicated methods. So if you're good with what I've done right here, you're good to go do your quizzes. If you are interested in learning the substitution and elimination, or pre-AP, if you just like the what am I trying to say? If you'd like the reminder of how to do those methods, I have put in Classroom optional videos going over those 2 methods. So you could watch those, and instead of doing all this plug-in stuff, you're welcome to use substitution and elimination. And that's it. All right, bye.